I'm going to start with Josh is an absolute egg, and he doesn't know what he's doing. But today I'm joined by Josh, aka I'm Hazard. There's the first starter, lads. Luke, aka Esports Lazarus, and our two wonderful guests, JamieRyanBirch, the owner of Socially, and Chris Sword, the owner of Imperio. First, I want to start off, lads, at how you manage your time managing an org and your own personal lives. I want to start with Chris. So, around managing Viperio and owning Viperio, what do you do in your spare time / for work?
So thanks for introducing me, Alex. Again, for those that don't know me, I've owned Viperio since 2013. So I've kind of grown up sort of running an org on the side. So throughout that time, I've been in education, whether that be sixth form and then university. For the past year, I've actually been working full-time on a university placement, which is something I recommend if you get the opportunity to do. So I've actually had less time than ever before, sort of the past 6 months. And I mean, the good thing is I enjoy running an esports team, so it's kind of something that I look forward to when it comes to my spare time, and it's something I do like to work on. So it's something I'm happy committing sort of my evenings to work on. But equally on things like weekends, I try not to work too much. I like to go out and socialize. So it's just managing your time when you best see it. If you need to work on your org a bit more, spending more time and making sure things get done, but also enjoying the time that you have, spending time with family and friends. It's just getting that right balance, in order to make the most out of it.
Awesome. Boys, anything to say on that?
So, is there any particular hobbies that you like to do in your spare time? And obviously, I know some sports that you do, but for the audience that wouldn't know you as well, what are the particular things you would choose to do with friends or family in your free time?
Yeah, so I mean, like most people, I'll occasionally play some games. So Warzone's my go-to at the moment. I'd like to say I'm quite a sporty individual. In recent years, I've played baseball at university, which is quite different.
We are so different.
But that's quite a fun sport. And from the age of 5 until about 18, I did kickboxing and karate. So I spent a long time doing that. It was sort of 5 nights a week. And that was sort of the sport that I grew up doing from a young age.
Big question is, are you better than Laz at Warzone?
I've never actually played with Warzone, unfortunately. I think
that will be happening on Saturday though.
Tomorrow night, there's an opportunity for lads to play with me. Yeah.
We won't do any shameless plugs, but there will be an opportunity for us to play together.
Plug away all you want, mate. Feel free. Short podcast.
Okay, there shall be a Viperio social night where Viperio management and anyone from Viperio or the community are going to be playing Warzone together. So if you'd like to play with anyone or even just watch, because I would assume we'll stream some of it, then feel free to come along.
Well, that's me and Laz not getting any practice in for Sunday, isn't it?
Hey! This can go one of two ways, to pre-warn you. It's either going to be he's going to go absolutely mental and carry you all, or he's going to have an absolute stinker.
He's There's no in between. It's going to be like playing with me. Really he's going to be dead and spectating.
Ooh!
Essentially,
Ooh.
Yeah.
Right. Baseball is a different sport as well. Do you do any mainstream sports, or are you more of a I say out there, but like a different kind of sport guy?
I mean, I've never really been too into things like football or rugby or any sports like that. I mean, I usually just pick something that I'll have an interest in at that moment. So my parents kind of pushed me into the kickboxing and karate, and I'd always watched baseball sort of from a younger age. I mean, going on holiday to the US and stuff, it's something you'll do on holiday, and that obviously has a bit of an impression on you. So as soon as I had the opportunity to do it at university, because it's quite big in the UK at universities, I thought I'll give it a go, and it was something I've done every year at uni since. Yeah, it's a fun sport. So I do business and management at Durham. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm on placement this year, so that's for year 3 of my degree, and then I'll go back for a 4th year in October for that 1 more year.
Awesome. Any questions for Chris, lads, before we move to the wonderful JamieRyanBirch?
On that subject, I think that's us covered essentially all bases.
Yes, I'd agree with that.
Awesome. Okay, moving on to Jamie. Hi, Jamie. I really want to touch on this with you because I know that your circumstances are a little bit different. I know obviously you work full time and that your significant other suffers from fibromyalgia. If one of you boys can ! fibro in the chat. I probably butchered that.
I'll do it.
And I know that has a massive impact on your life and her life. So I really want to know how you manage being an org owner, and I know how good you are at it, being in your org, and also your full-time job, and caring for, is it Kayla, your other half? And caring for her where you can.
Well, to start off, I'm completely opposite to Chris. Didn't go to uni. Don't do any sports. I work a lot. That's it. So real life, I work in IT, a senior IT technician at a local company. Monday, Friday, 9-5. So it gives us time to do kind of esports work outside of that. Obviously, Kayla's got fibro, which she was kind of diagnosed with that properly about a year ago to 2 years ago. But it's good days and bad days. So some days I can come in, crack on with work, things like that, spend time with her just normally. But obviously sometimes it's a matter of waking up, making sure Kayla's all right before I go in, before I go into work, because sometimes she can't get out of bed and things like that. So I just need to make sure she's got everything that she'll need, and then get in, making food, things like that. But if I'm honest, wouldn't change it for the world, at all. But the way I see it is 9 to 5 is professional, Jamie. And then outside of that, it's just, I started socially for fun. That's all it was. I still see that as it just fun. If later down the line I can turn it into something more and that could be full time, then brilliant. But that's not the goal for it. I've met some absolutely insane people through socially, whether it be LAN events or whatever, or just gaming with them online. So that for me is enough. If I had to stop it now, then I'd be more than pleased with the work that's been done in the past 3 years. But yeah, that's me. Don't really do much, like I say, outside of working. One, because I'm lazy. Two, because I'm lazy, and the third one's probably because I'm lazy. But no, on a serious, I do work a lot. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I mean, not going into too much detail, as having worked quite closely with you over the last month or so, the way that you manage your time, and no matter what time I've messaged you, anyone's messaged you, you're at work, you're not available for whatever reason, you're always replying as quickly as you can and always there to help. And honestly, I salute that massively.
It's also the way that you present yourself as well.
Find that time.
You always present yourself professionally as well.
Well, I think especially nowadays, because there's a hell of a lot of esports orgs, and I know Chris will vouch for this, what I call bedroom orgs or pop-up orgs, where they start up 3 months later, they're gone. A couple of different reasons for it. It's there's no cash investment, which is a kind of a massive thing that you need within amateur esports. People lose the motivation to do it, and 3, they've got no idea what I'm doing. And to be fair, I didn't when I first started. I didn't have any organization experience before I started socially. I was in Bulldog as a streamer for about 3 weeks before I got kicked for not streaming. And that was it. That's purely it. I've learned everything on the job. But yeah, I mean, the reason that it's been as successful as it is now is not me. I got some absolutely really good people from the start in managers roles. And when I'm not available, I mean, Ramsey, he's in the chat now, but Ramsey's he's 1 in a million for the work that he does. I know, Alex, Josh, you will agree, being part of socially, Ramsey's just there to help.
He's always available.
Yeah, he is. Which I'm lucky to have such a good management team and directors alongside me. That means I can get in, do absolutely nothing, and people think that socially is brilliant because of me.
When in fact you're the one that works in the background.
It's not even that. It's just obviously I could literally go a week without, because I went through a stage where I didn't have management, right at the start, and if I didn't put anything, if I didn't kick my arse into shape, nothing would get done. You could see that via Twitter. But now, Ramsey just said, "I'm not crying, you're crying." But now I can be at work and stuff's getting done, and I don't have to kind of do anything. It's getting done. And so although it might look like it's me that's putting all the work in, I can guarantee that my management team put a hell of a lot more work in it than I do. And I couldn't be more pleased.
So on that basis as well, it goes for Chris as well. I know for Jamie it wasn't his first org, but just in general, for both of you really, have you ever run an org before what you already own? And if so, what?
So on me, I started Viperio when I was 13, February 2013, and so that's been the only org that I've ever worked for. So I guess that has positives and negatives. It does mean that all of my learning experiences have been with that one brand, and it means that I have been able to shape it towards how I want my org to be. But equally, it does mean I have sort of missed out on chances to sort of hear other people's take a bit more. But sort of, as Jamie said, getting managers that equally have sort of that same drive, their experience and knowledge in the areas that they're trying to help with, it does really help sort of push the org forward. So I wouldn't say I feel limited being only in that one org the whole time, but it's definitely been an interesting experience.
On that note, I mean, you don't have to, I know he's here. How good is Luke at his job? Because he's always playing Warzone with me, so I don't see him do much. Just saying.
Yeah, to be fair, I've never seen him do any work for an org.
That's not nice.
But I think Luke would agree. Sort of when I got approached to have Luke help out, he didn't have sort of much experience when it came to sort of like that esports management, but he had a lot of good vouchers. So I know like some of the Bulldog members putting a lot of praise for him. So I thought I'll give him a go, and I honestly can't fault Luke's work ethic. I know that if I drop him a message, he's available. He's willing to hop on a call, even if he's just sort of chilling in his house. So Luke's been great so far, and I look forward to working with Luke as well moving forward.
They get very frustrated with me. I'll be 2 minutes away from being in a wager, and I'll be like, "Sorry, Chris is calling me."
On what Spug said, Spug, I don't play because I'm doing work. That's why
you can put it in brackets that you do work, mate. You're actually on the phone to your missus.
All right, we're not going into that one, because we're not speaking about that stream. But no, I was purely joking. He's very good at his job. So moving on slightly, I want to know for both of you, what made you want to get into esports, 2 into having your own organisation, and what continues to drive you on every day?
Chris, do you want to go first?
Yeah, happy to go. So as I said, I started at the age of 13, and I think that's because really early on, I realized that I had no skill at any games. I mean, I played Call of Duty at the time, and honestly, I was terrible. So I kind of knew that if I wanted to be involved in esports, it would have to be in sort of a staff or a management role, because I knew from quite early on, no matter how hard I tried, I'd never really make it as a player. And I think since I accepted that quite early on, it meant I was quite set on working in sort of a management role and running a team. And obviously, that's not changed up until now. I think the good thing is because I'm interested in the industry and I do enjoy doing what I do. It means that although at this stage there's no sort of financial incentive, it's not as if I'm doing this full time. It's something that I am really interested in, sort of a passion project as well. So as I've said this year, I work full time. I'm also a student. It is something that I do enjoy working on the side, because it does sort of also develop the skills that will help in any job moving forward. I mean, sort of approaching sponsors, just managing your time, working with players. These are all valuable skills that will benefit you in any career. So it's a really good opportunity to do that sort of on the side of whatever you're doing.
Lovely stuff.
Any questions on that one, boys? I personally haven't.
I think that explains everything that I wanted to know there.
Yes, that covered all bases. Jamie, do you have anything to add on your side?
Yeah, so for me, it's kind of the same. I thought I was really, really good at Call of Duty until I started kind of watching pros and things like that, and it's just, you soon realise. But for me, like I said, I started as a hobby. Probably, it's not that it's the wrong reason to start it, but I've always been kind of business driven. Before Social Day, I ran 2 separate businesses, or started 2 businesses, not that lasted long. One was print and design, and one was like websites, so coding, programming, things like that. The website the print and design worked pretty well, but Kayla's used to kind of the stupid ideas that I come up with. I'll just come up with an idea, try to run with it. If it doesn't work, I'll want the next one. Luckily, socially was one of them, and it started to work. So that was just the reason that I started. The reason that I keep doing it and going back to it is because the people, like I said, the people that I've met within socially and esports itself. Like I said, if one day I could go to a job, brilliant. If it doesn't, I don't care. It is purely just through the people that I've met. And a couple of months back, I got a really good offer to kind of let go socially and join elsewhere. And it made really good business sense. But at the end of the day, it would have meant losing like 90% of the team. And I purely couldn't, because the team management and streamers, players, things like that, they put so much time into socially to represent socially and make it as good as it is. It wouldn't be then fair for me to kind of just say, right, that's it, end of the road.
Yeah, just jump ship.
So, yeah, exactly. So my reason of continuing is the people that I've met. It would be unfair to them to end it. So yeah,
I think I'd agree. I think as well, it's probably the same with, you know, being a part of socially for, I think I've been there 2 to 3 months now, and it is just the people that are in there, it's so family driven. We're all, if anyone needs anything, we're all there straight away to help out, and I'm sure that's the same with Hyperio. And the way that I can't speak for Hyperio, but the way that's been built socially is absolutely incredible, and I tip my hat to you, and I'm sure it is exactly the same for you, Chris, at Hyperio.
I mean, I think like any org will go through like kind of peaks and troughs sort of thing, where you have the good times and the bad, and a lot of it, like I say, is money driven. Unfortunately, I'm just reading Nick's comments in the chat here. Sorry.
Should we ban it?
Shout out. We can if you like.
Who, Nick?
Yeah.
Consider it done.
I've completely lost track of what I was saying. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I think that was it. You go through peaks and troughs. You have good days, bad days, and things like that. But the reason you come back to it is purely because the people that you meet. Like I could be having the shittest day ever, and I'll just sit in Discord and chat to a couple of the lads, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, that's me sorted for the night. Motivational videos that Alex and shit put in the chat is brill on a morning, things like that. It is purely just a family vibe, which gets me through it.
Yeah, I think that's one way you can estimate what a good org is.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
The turnover in personnel in an org, I guess you could say, can estimate how good it is. Like, I don't know about the turnover in socially, but in Viperio, Chris has been there 7 years. Two of our management, and Brody and Connor, they've been there for years. Brody started off as a player, and then now he's into management. Connor, how many? Is it 3 years he's been part of Viperio?
Yeah, so Connor and Brody have both been here for 3 years now. And they have like a core part of the Viperio management team. And yeah, as you said, Brody started off as a Counter-Strike player, and then wanted to get stuck in sort of after his team split. And I mean, he stayed there for 3 years now, so it's a prop to both his dedication to the org, and I guess also says something about the org as well.
Yeah, of course. And then I'm sure there's many people in socially that are in the same situation. Obviously, socially's a newer org compared to Viperio, but in this grand scheme of things, there will be people that have stayed for the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said it that socially, for a lot of people, won't be the last step in esports, and I'm more than happy with that. If socially is just a stepping stone for people to move on and bigger and better things, and we've helped to achieve that, then I've achieved what I need to do in socially. But I try to look at more kind of personal development. So Michael, for example, he's a director in socially. He got brought in practically within the first couple of weeks as a streamer. He just kind of he grew more and more within socially, and now sits beside me and kind of helps with day in day out stuff. But obviously we've got another announcement in the next couple of weeks of someone else who's kind of started as a streamer. It might not too much information, but started as a streamer, and they've kind of wanted to step up. So I'm more than happy to give anyone kind of a stepping stone to see how, if they actually like the role, if they fit, and if it's something that they want to continue doing later down the line. And like I said, if socially is not their end goal, which it won't be, don't get us wrong at this stage, but if it's a stepping stone for them to go to the next level, then I'm happy with that.
You'd also hope they repay that back to you as well in the future. Or not even hope, like there's a
I mean,
possibility that they can.
Yeah, it's even because obviously people will come in to do different things within any organization, whether it be streaming, playing, management, whatever you name it. If they then succeed and then move on from socially, go up the ladder in a sense, if you want to put it that way, make it the top. You'll never. I would hope that no one would ever forget where they came from, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if someone
But-
asks them the question later down the line of where did you start,
Yeah.
you'd hope that they say where they actually started, which was you.
Well, especially with kind of the relationship that we've got within socially.
Yeah, it's
I
more of a
think
family.
everyone's on the same kind of level where they've got mutual respect with everyone in the org. So yeah,
I think Josh will agree, and going on your point as well, Jamie, is that socially, and we say this all the time to each other, we, be it streaming, be it Josh playing a FIFA, be it if we can do anything, one of the main reasons drives us on to do that is the people in socially, and to be more specific without, sounding like an absolute fanboy, is you, because of the support you've given us. I mean, I joined socially as a streamer, and I mean, my numbers were okay. They weren't great, but you took a chance on me, and now I've grown to bigger than what I'd ever thought I'd be. And without giving too much detail, the platform to help others like Josh and really realize what I want to do with my time in socially, if that makes sense. And I'm sure you'd agree with that, Josh.
Yeah, the thing that made me realise I really want to stay with socially as well was with Jamie. So I was only in socially for 2 months to start with, and then my house got robbed, and Jamie was straight in my DMs asking if he could help in any way, shape or form. And from there it was family straight away. People are actually
Frenchie's
looking
trying
out
to
for
cause
me.
beef.
But which org is better?
Frenchie.
Frenchie loves the controversy.
Oh, Frenchie. This is why you're not in this one, mate.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Or Sponge.
I think that's probably a good time to
move
move the
topics.
conversation on a little bit.
Yeah.
Where do you see, I think we'll start with Chris, where do you see Viperio in 5 years? What's the goal? What's the end game?
So I mean, the direction that I have, my honest view is that a lot of the sort of initial sort of early days of esports, that growth has sort of gone out the window. I mean, when you look at the likes of Excel, they managed to capitalize on that, and they now have a franchised LEC spot. I feel that because sort of investment at that top level is so high now, in all honesty, it's quite hard to sort of catch up to that. So when I talk about sort of the direction that I want to take Viperio, I still think as a country, the UK is still an underdeveloped market, and there's still opportunities to be had there, which is partially the reason behind rebranding the org to try and capitalize on sort of a sub-region within that UK. So when I sort of think about where I'd like to be in 5 years,
Thank you
time,
very much for Skill and Bones for the
well,
follow.
we're currently involved in League of Legends, and we've got divisions like the NLC, which is the top for the UK and Nordics, and also the UKLC. So being a top contender within those UK leagues, I feel is a possible and also a viable place to sort of
Thank you
strive
very
to
much,
aim.
Canny.
And that's sort of the direction that I'm trying to take the org.
Awesome.
And the same to
Same
Jamie.
question to you, Jamie.
I feel like my answer is going to be very unstructured compared to that. Again, because it was formed on a hobby and not a business, my goals are probably different to a lot of other, especially esports organizations. Again, mine's kind of personal growth and things like that. But for us, we want to develop mainly within CS. We went to Epic LAN, and just like socially, it's a very family vibe within the CS scene, although very toxic. At times, it's brilliant, and the kind of the lads that I've met from that side, like Canny from Peak, he's the one that got us into socially, got socially into CS. But we don't really have goals on the esports side of things with regards to teams and things like that. We're very much focused on the content that we're starting to put out, and shout out to Nick for that, because people are starting to realize the content that we do is different and things like that. But the kind of COVID thing had a massive effect on us, because we had a lot of things planned for real life content, days out, things like that, getting streamers involved, other local organisations, things like that. And it kind of put a stop on everything. But we want to work a bit different to any other esports organisation, and focus more on the content route. Still have teams competing in CS and kind of things like that. But our main plan to move forward is to focus on the content. Take 100 Thieves, strip the esports side, and that's my aim.
Okay.
Perfect.
Very unstructured compared to Chris.
Now, on that note as well, I've got a question for Chris. Is that I know the Viperio content team is littered with people that are doing very well within streaming. I know you've got a couple of part streamers, but actual content from Viperio is kind of second. I would say, from what I've seen, to your esports and your League of Legends team. Is that the direction you'd rather go in as opposed to the content?
I wouldn't necessarily. It's the direct. I totally agree with your statement. I mean, I actually sort of what Jamie said around the sort of whole thing with COVID. I mean, the fact you couldn't do any in-person stuff for sort of the past 4 months is obviously limited the opportunities available in that area. When it comes to just sort of the esports versus content part, I think because sort of I can put a lot of my skills and my knowledge into driving that part of the organization, it plays to my strengths. As Luke touched on earlier, there's an individual called Connor Rabet, and he sort of takes the lead on our media stuff. But having that limit of sort of the opportunities to film means that has slightly been pushed aside. On the Twitch sort of aspect, we do have some sort of very popular streamers within other regions. So most of our streamers are Dutch. And I wouldn't necessarily say that esports is an area that I want to drive more. It's just what's kind of the org's evolved into. But sort of working on that content part is definitely something I'd like to improve on. Because I don't think putting all your eggs in one basket is the smartest approach. If you can sort of split out where you're spending your time and manage that risk, it's the smartest thing you can do as an org. So working on the content is definitely something that I'll be looking to do sort of from October onwards.
I completely agree with that as well.
I love that. You are so
answer.
good with these replies. Unbelievable.
You're way too
I
formal.
mean, you tell us before that you'd be very. You are incredible, by the way.
I'm just sitting here like I just hang out with the lads and that, and just film some of it.
You can tell he's a uni boy.
You can.
Can I just say though, me Twitter link's wrong in your timer.
No, it's not.
It is. It's got a hyphen at the end.
Okay, right. I'm gonna level you guys here.
This is Alex.
Literally, I got in from work. I had my shower. I haven't even had dinner, and I came on and set Notebot up. So I apologise that they're wrong. The one thing I did get right, which was my most important one for me, was the fibromyalgia. Definitely got
the fact that you can actually see it is like mind blowing. Like Taylor, I don't know if he's still in the chat, but when he first tried to say it on the stream, I think it was Taylor, he butchered that.
Alex just put that in a Google Translate and played it over and over and over.
I promise I haven't. I did kind of still, like when we did the charity stream for it, you put in the message that we'd put on the top. I stole that to use.
Stole the complete description for
so
it.
I didn't go for too much effort, but I tried. So moving on, unless you've got a question, Josh.
I was going to say, Jamie's just touched on it, but your esports side of things, if you could venture out from CS, is there any esports you'd rather go into or want to go into?
Not COD.
That's the question that I was going to lead on to.
That's another lead.
We'll get that later.
COD can get fucked. COD is dreadful. Could just be my bad experience with it, but yeah, not COD. I mean, we want to go for the more. A lot of people don't know, but we've got a Super Smash Bros. Team, which one of the guys that plays for us came first in a tournament that he played a couple of weeks back out of 700 plus kind of players throughout the UK and throughout Europe. So we'd like to. There's no events really happening for them at the minute, but that's kind of a very niche esport, and I'd love to push that. R6 was great to be in. Unfortunately, obviously, we split from the roster that we had. They went on to win what was meant to be a LAN, ended up obviously being played online win that, but I would love to get back into R6. Great to watch, although I
that
don't
event
really
was great to
understand it
watch.
much because I haven't played it much, but it is brilliant to watch. But to get back into R6 for us would be brilliant.
So I think we could ask Chris the same question. Obviously,
You've got a big League of Legends team.
obviously we've got League, and that is what on the esports side of things we're kind of trying to focus on that.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'll know what games are possibly on our radar. But obviously the wider community wouldn't know. But in your personal opinion, what would be the game that you would want to move into if you could? Like, if there was a perfect opportunity to go into.
So if we're excluding the games that we're already in, because obviously we want to improve on those as much as we can. Like Jamie said, Rainbow Six Siege is definitely that's on my radar. You've had changes sort of to the UK League with the UKIN. That's definitely a league that is something that I would strive to compete in. And with any new game, we've also got Valorant. Seeing how that turns out. We've got these Ignition events. I'd like to see how that scene develops before saying whether I'd like to commit to it or not. But that's definitely a game that's also on my radar. So I would say Rainbow Six and Valorant.
Lovely stuff.
Valorant's a very out there pick as well because it's a very new game. So you'd have to wait until. See
Jamie, if you want a Valorant team, me and Josh.
Nah, don't
No,
pick.
right,
do not
Yeah,
pick
right.
Alex up.
Why?
I know I said personal development, but that's kind of one step too far.
You need
Wow.
you need something to develop off of. If you have zero, you can't times zero by anything to make it higher.
Jamie has
I'm
also
going to
got a
remember
FIFA
that next
spot
time
too.
you ask me to play, Luke. You both said there, and Chris, you didn't say. Jamie was very outspoken on COD. I know from speaking to Luke that COD is not on the radar, and that you've had bad experiences in COD before. One, why are you both not in COD? And two, I'm assuming neither of you would go back into it. Why is that?
That's the question I was leading on
You
to
want
with
to
that
take this
one.
first, Jamie?
Two main reasons for us. We've had bad experience with COD. When we had our prime within COD was when we had Dingbat and his team. CWL London for us was absolutely brilliant. Not like an outstanding placement, but just the whole vibe around Call of Duty events was brilliant. But two, for some reason, especially UK players think that they deserve top dollar. That's it at the end of the day in amateur Call of Duty. They think that because they're doing well in scrims and things like that, they should be fully funded to every event. And it's not realistic. For that money, I could put in another team in a different esports and benefit from it so much more than Call of Duty. Call of Duty scene is very greedy, unfortunately,
Frenchie's asking for
especially
names.
on the amateur side of things.
Yeah, I always say COD teams are very volatile. Like they never stick. You could get five people that are seemingly best friends. The next week they'll all hate each other.
Yeah.
But in terms of them all expecting fully funding, do you think that's that's because of how you would say a pop-up org? Because these orgs will pop up,
Yes.
fling all their money at a COD team
Yeah, definitely.
that doesn't deserve it, and then they'll disband. But because that team that doesn't deserve it has been given fully funding, the teams that do deserve it will then demand it.
Yeah, I think on that, obviously going at the financial side of amateur esports organization could go on for like days and days, but if you're not sensible with your money within amateur esports, because although people might think that we can pump thousands and thousands and thousands into it, it's not realistic. Obviously, Chris is still in university. Although I work full time, obviously I own my own house. I've got other commitments that I need to put money into. But you're 100% right in the fact that pop-up orgs will start up with, I don't know, say they're starting out in esports org with £600 in the bank, and that's their investment to get up and running. They'll then get shafted and bent over a barrel by esports Call of Duty team, who will turn around and go, "Oh yeah, we'll get you like a top 3 placement at the next LAN event on COD," and they'll go, "Right, okay, there's like 600 quid, go for it." And because that team's been given it once, next time they go to the next like esports organization, they'll go, "Oh well, this is what we got from the last team. Can you match it?" And it's kind of a false sense of I mean, it's not fair on the players as well because they're getting a false sense of security that that's what they'll get from every team, which isn't realistic. And I think it's a shame because amateur Call of Duty used to be brilliant, but it's getting to the stage now where people expect far too much, and it is because of people with no sense getting into esports. They think they've got enough money to do it, but trust us, you haven't, unfortunately.
Yeah. So is there any other reasons that you haven't ventured into COD recently or won't in the future, Chris, that Jamie hasn't already mentioned?
I think one of the big ones for me is, in recent time at least, is when you had that sort of franchise league, it sort of limited sort of that underdog story of getting to like a COD champs. I mean, that was always something that was sort of appealing sort of for any player. And I mean, once that's stripped away, you've sort of got that route to the top taken away. I also feel like compared to other titles, sort of that support from the game on sort of their semi-pro and then amateur levels, it's just a bit lacking. So yes, there's a lot of good third-party organizers, but not having that support from the actual game is quite concerning. I just feel that there's a lot of other titles where we're talking for a similar budget or even less. You can get a lot more out of it, and it's just a lot safer for an organization to approach. I mean, if we use the League of Legends example, we've got that very top league that's franchised, but then we've got that whole league down to that grassroots level with the NLC, UKLC, and then UKL. And I mean, just having that support from the game publisher, it just makes that a much safer scene to involve yourself with.
100%.
And there's also, I mean, a one that I've noticed as well is sort of the viewership on COD. I mean, it's just not as good as other scenes. Yeah, I would say it's quite a Western game as well, and there's other games like League of Legends that have more of that worldwide appeal. So it's just opportunities at the end of the day. It's not something that I see being a viable option at the moment compared to others.
So I know we didn't plan on talking about this, but off of going from, like as you said, COD being a Western esport, and then stuff like League CS being more of a worldwide esport, do you think that has anything to do with console versus PC? Because if you look at it, all of the console esports are all very westernized. But then you get StarCraft, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, which are all worldwide, which you don't get on console.
Personally, I wouldn't put it down to the kind of the platform that it's played on. Purely because the reason why games like League of Legends, CS, and all those are doing so well is because there was a game released. They've stuck with that one game and developed that one game to get it is now. With the fact, especially Call of Duty, because it gets replaced every year.
There's too many iterations.
There is, yeah. And I think if you stuck with one Call of Duty, no matter what platform it was on, for 3, 4, 5 years, one, it would sort out the whole amateur side of things, because people would realize that the shit and they're not going to get what they need compared to the ones that are going to will put in the time to that one specific game. But also you'll kind of realize that game that is still broken when the next one gets released will actually get fixed and become good, which is that's where like CS, League of Legends, Dota, and things like that stand out, because they've got a game. They develop that game so that it's perfect to play.
I do have something to say on that. Socially we are in FIFA with Josh, obviously being.
I was going to say, I'm disappointed that Jamie didn't mention that.
But FIFA is similar to COD, and Josh will agree. And I obviously stream FIFA. Jamie doesn't know this, but I have plans on competing in FIFA next year. And that's the same situation of COD as it's the same broken game just being repeated every year. They're trying to fix it instead of game.
The problem with FIFA as well is pay barrier.
With COD FIFA esports, sorry, we haven't seen it take off as much as it should, really. Do you think the reason for this is the same as the issues that the AM scene is having in COD now and viewership? Because it's the same broken game and it's a little bit overpopulated with people that are shit at the game, and no one wants to watch them play at the end of the day.
For me on FIFA, I mean, how long's the off season, Josh?
Well, the off season's normally 2 months, but this year's different because of everything that happened.
COVID.
Right. Okay.
So because
got
this
you.
is my
I mean,
first year under you, I've been to one event. I was qualified for the next event, and I just couldn't go because everything got cancelled.
I mean, with that though, like, does FIFA support the kind of esports side of things much from your point of view? Because I'm honestly, I've not really had that much kind of involvement with FIFA. Although we brought you in, obviously it was just before everything happened with the off season, and then COVID happened and things like that. So we've not had you in properly, as far as I'm aware, for a full kind of FIFA season.
Yeah, exactly. So,
so from your point of view, does FIFA kind of put in as much time and effort as it should into the esports side of things, or not?
So last year when I started competing, it didn't. This year they did start, and the production levels on the actual esports streams were much better. But it's just the way the game's played. That's why it doesn't take off.
It's also to do with it's very pay to win as well.
Yeah, the pay barrier is a very big problem within FIFA. So at the start of the game, you have to spend like £1,000.
Clubs are getting into it. Massive football clubs like PSG, Man City, West Ham. They're just teams that I know have players. They're all getting into the scene. There are esports orgs that will have players at the top level, but like Fnatic, but proper football teams that are all mainstream are coming into it, which you would think would bring more of a mainstream audience into the game.
You'd also think that
like it's translating.
Football's the most watched sport worldwide. So why wouldn't people want to watch people that are representing their football teams play a football game? It's one of the most watched games on Twitch, year on year. But it just doesn't take off when esports events are on, which is a massive problem. But the prize pools are okay. Everything else is okay with it.
I don't know whether that's because kind of esports orgs aren't as developed in FIFA as they could be. Like, for example, when you went to that last event, how many people did you see wearing a jersey? Like a esports jersey,
And
not a
esports,
football
there
one,
was
sorry.
only me and one other guy. So there was
So
a
straight away,
32 team event, a 32 person event because it's sync solos.
yeah,
there was only
straight
two
away
other people.
The first thing as an esports org that you're going to do is represent your business.
Yeah.
It seems as though organizations don't see the kind of the benefits of having someone playing FIFA and going to events like that. Even though you're going to a proper football stadium, you'll be playing alongside, well, like Josh says, 32 other people, and the chance of meeting real proper football players who are now playing the game is astronomical. You're getting photos with the players and just stupid like that.
That's what I was about to bring up
Organizations, sorry?
That's what I was about to bring up then, the football players being there as well.
Yeah, exactly. And for some reason, organizations don't see the benefit of that, which is mind blown. Because unlike Call of Duty, going back to that, FIFA players aren't greedy. Kind of what I've seen, anyways. They're very grateful to be part of an organization, as compared to a lot of other esports people aren't, because it's easy to get into it and they're very blasé about it.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to get Chris in on this one. As far as I'm aware, Viperio aren't in at the moment.
Yeah, that's correct.
Is that something you go into?
I mean, in all honesty, like, as I kind of touched on the sport thing, like, football's not really been a game or something I've been really passionate about. And I mean, when it comes to esports, that obviously has a bit of an influence. So because I've not had that sort of real interest in the real or the esports side of it, it's not something I feel I have sort of that expertise to approach. So I mean, at the end of the day, if there's opportunities to be had, I'll always consider any game. But at the moment, FIFA, it's not one that I would say that is at the top of my list when it comes to games that I like to focus on.
Awesome. Well, we did go off on a bit of a tangent there.
We did.
Bringing it back, I have a very simple question for both of you. One, what's your best achievement? So what has benefited your org both financially and with, an influx of people coming in? And two, what's your favourite moment in running your orgs that you're in now?
Start off with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'd say one of my favorite moments of Hyperia, it would probably be when we were involved in Halo. We had some quite good successes in that. So we're talking the London event, sort of in the Gfinity Arena, and I mean playing in Wembley Stadium would definitely be a highlight. Having the European finals there, so that's definitely one that's on my radar. When it comes to sort of an event relevant to Hyperia, but not necessarily directly related to it. So in around 2018, we were involved in H1V1. It wasn't necessarily a game we were focused on, but it was something that we had a team in. And I mean, when that game sort of died, a lot of those players moved on into Fortnite. So one of the ex-Hyperia H1Z1 players was actually at the Fortnite World Cup. Thomas HD. I mean, have a Google if you've got time. But I think it was just nice to see someone that had been a part of my org sort of be on that world stage. We're talking one of the best Fortnite players in the world, and
Nice
it's just to
performance.
at least have been part of that journey. So that's also sort of something that's quite special to me, at least.
Awesome. Any questions on that one, boys?
No, it's
pretty
unless
self-explanatory.
you have a, yeah, I was going to say it's pretty straightforward. Not
Yeah,
can't
straightforward.
question any of that.
It's always a good achievement as well. So when I ran an org, getting players to a level that they're quite famous within esports as well. That's definitely why Thomas is one of your highlights.
Yeah.
So moving on to Jamie, what's your biggest achievement and favourite moment?
I mean, favorite moment is, although I go back to it a lot, is Seedwell London. I met a lot of the team there, like quite a lot of them. Obviously, we rented out a B&B. That's when we first done proper content with a sponsor, which at the time was Gamer Focus. We had all the lads around on the Saturday night to film content and things like that. And that's when it seemed real, if that makes sense. That's when it went from being bedroom organization to physically meeting people, working with another company, and taking it to the next level. Although still within amateur esports, it's taking it to the next level and doing something different that you don't see a lot of orgs doing at our level. And that event just in general for us, like I said, was brilliant. Met some great people there, and can't wait to do it again. But nothing will compare to that one because it was the one that made it all seem real. So that was it for us. As well as that, though, touching on, obviously it's not as extreme as having kind of someone play at the Fortnite World Cup, but we've had a lot of, as people know, we had a lot of people through the doors of Socially when it first started and things like that, streamers, and we got quite a lot of stick for it. Although you can speak to any previous member of Socially and they'll say that the time here was great, just wasn't right for them at the time or things like that. But we had people like currently who are kind of changing the game within streaming, mainly for Warzone. But we had Juxies through Socially as a Blackout player. We had Wars in as a streamer. So to kind of see them move on to the next big step for them, getting verified on Twitch, playing with the big names like, I mean, you've got Syndicate, all of the Royal Ravens that they're playing with and things like that. Just seeing them develop is massive for us. Well, maybe not for us, but for me is seeing them, as going back to what I said before, seeing us as being the next step for them is a massive achievement for me.
Being able to say that you was a part of their development.
Yeah, development, yeah.
It's like a father-son moment.
Yeah.
It does make you feel proud, even though it wasn't like all your achievement. It makes you feel proud.
Yeah, obviously, the reason that they've got to where they are now is because of the hard work that they've put in. But for us to have been part of that and maybe advise on maybe the smallest of things like stream advice or something stupid like that, is part of the reason why they're there.
Awesome.
What's Frenchy put in the chat there? Questions. One leak of you joined over. Can't get really into that.
We can't be asking for leaks, Frenchie.
I mean, I've got one more point, and then unless you guys got something, move on to questions from the chat for them. So
Yeah,
my
go
last
for your
point is obviously sponsors are massive in esports. They are pretty much what drive and fund. If you could pick any one brand, any one specific, but like they would come in and sponsor your, or who would it be and why?
Jesus Christ.
Big question.
Jamie has to
Have
think
either
about
one-
this
Have
one.
either one of you got one on your head, or do you need time
No,
to think?
Come back to me in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, you see, I do, but it's a bit of a weird one. But equally, I do think it would be quite a fun one and one that would
think I
actually
know
work. Like, it's not even a joke. Like, I actually think a Greg's partnership would be a really good one. Yeah, it's not even a joke.
I love that.
Like when I think about sort of how I'm trying to take the org, so we're talking, like as I was talking around the 5 years, like we want to strive to be like one of the top in the UK. And then when we think of Greg's, that's a UK known brand. We're based in the Northeast. That's where Greg's comes from. I mean, I think it would be a fun one to work with. And I mean, it's not sort of your typical endemic, already involved in esports. So I mean, the moment you said that question, Greg's came into my head. So I'm gonna roll with it.
I absolutely love that.
It is one of those things. When you say it, it sounds very funny, but when you actually dig deep into it, there is some sense behind it.
It's very similar to the KFC getting into gaming, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
not something you would like tie together.
No, you wouldn't tie KFC with gaming. You wouldn't tie Greg's with gaming.
And plus, free Gregs.
That isn't the answer I expected at all. Oh, get me a Greg's black
That's not what I
card.
expected. But
As soon
I
as you
absolutely
asked the
love it.
question, I was just like, he's gonna say it.
I mean,
Yeah.
Jamie, how do you follow that, son?
It's been a good podcast. I'll see you when I see this. No, but for us, I've not really got an end goal in sight with sponsorship. The main one for us is you'll see a lot of smaller orgs will just partner with someone for the fact that they're given like a discount code or some form of benefit. The right sponsor will come along when the right sponsor comes along for us. Like we've had opportunities to go with energy drink companies before. Obviously, we went with Gamer Focus because before we went with them, I had a good relationship with the guy that owned it. We tried the drink a lot and things like that, and we thought it was something different to what everyone else was offering. And it was because you'll see constantly over and over again the smaller orgs, they'll pick up an energy drink company, they'll leave that company, go with someone else, and they're promoting their product like mad, and they're doing that so they can make sales. But why would you do if you don't trust a product? Like, because I can guarantee most orgs that do that, they haven't tried the drink or they haven't worked with the company long enough to even know what their kind of ethical background is and things like that. So
They could be stabbing themselves in the foot by not doing their due diligence.
yeah. And if you partner with 4 energy drink companies, I say that because energy drink company seems to be the big one for esports orgs. If you partner with 4 energy drink companies, and then the right one comes along, and they'll go, right, okay, why did you sponsor these 4? You'll have no, like, why did you work with these 4? Should I say? You'll have no valid reason. You've done it for the money, unfortunately. And why would then that other company say, all right, well, that's going to work for us as well, because no one's going to trust that organization with regards to why they're promoting it and things like that. But I don't know why I waffled on that long story short. No, we don't have a goal sponsor.
You don't. No goal. Okay, but your dream. If you one
Prefer to
company,
push you
like,
for an answer.
yeah, one company, like, no questions asked, they're going to sponsor.
It doesn't need to be
tomorrow.
realistic. It doesn't need to be realistic
mean,
in any way, shape, or
You've got
form.
to follow Greg's. I mean, that's going to be.
To put it in perspective, it could be like Tesla, Ferrari, anything you want.
Fucking hell. Give us till the end of the podcast. I'll have one for you.
Awesome.
Right, we'll come back to that.
Come back to that. Right,
I'm going to ignore you for the rest of the podcast now until I can think of one, by the way.
So, how many questions? 2 questions from the chat? Maybe?
Yeah, I think we
That'll be
go
us.
2 questions for the chat, and then I've got
And that'll be us.
one sort of leaving point, and then that'll be us.
And then we need to get Jamie's answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Right, so anyone in the chat got any questions? Ring them in now.
We'll go with the first 2 that are appropriate. I'm looking at you,
but-
French.
Yeah, French. No only fans or anything like that. That's not a bad.
we're not
That's
That's
creating
not a
anything.
bad question, but could be seemed controversial. Do you want to ask that one?
Taylor, you don't want to know that one because we already know the answer, mate.
Right. We could maybe ask we couldn't ask Frenchie's question.
Which org has the brighter future?
we can't ask that because there's a very diplomatic way to talk
Yeah,
about that, and there's a very controversial way to talk about that, and I know what one he wants.
Yeah, he wants the controversial. Mate, he loves drama.
I think we could go with Heaven's second question, but
Yeah,
put it to both
Yeah, right.
instead
That's
of
fair.
just Jamie. And then we've got
Oh, Canny's
Canny's got a
question
very good one. So if we start with Taylor's and then we move on to Canny's.
Canny's.
Yeah. So Taylor's question, we'll start with Chris and then we'll go on to Jamie. If you could recruit one streamer to your organisation, who would it be?
I mean,
See, this is the
if we've
question I
got
can
endless
answer. I know
budget,
mine straight away.
I mean, if budget's out the window and it's just an instant pickup, I mean, right now, I mean, I'd be silly not to say Ninja. I mean, we're talking all. I would say the media limelight it's not as large as it was, so maybe around at least a year ago. But we're talking largest streamer on the planet. I mean, if you pick him up, a lot of opportunities can come your way. So I feel it's quite hard to not say him. But I mean, equally, you never know who's going to be the next top talent, the next Ninja. So I mean, don't rule out those smaller people, those people that are sort of trying to grow, because you never know who's going to suddenly next day be the next big thing.
I like that. I like that. I mean, I've got a feeling, but I'm not gonna guess. Who would it be, Jamie? It's okay. You can say it's me.
Will you tell us what your guess is after I've said mine?
Yeah.
Okay, can I have two? One's completely out there, and one is more realistic than the other.
Yeah.
So the first one will be Courage.
That's a very good
that.
shout.
Love
I
that
love
answer.
that.
Love that answer.
Yeah, purely because you pick up him, you've got him for his streams, you've got him for his content, and you've got him for his personality. Although Ninja is absolutely brilliant, if Ninja left Twitch like he did or YouTube, wherever he's going to go next, he would be forgot about within a couple of months, I would say. Yes, he'll always be that guy that changed Twitch and he hit he smashed the goal and things like that. But Courage is a massive personality within esports, within streaming, within gaming. He's done it all from casting to gaming to you name it. So that's kind of my out there sort of thing. On a personal level, in a sense, or a realistic level, would be Tommy. Purely because of his personality.
He's got a massive almost cult following in the UK.
Yeah, although he's not getting the views that he deserves. Taylor saying take that back right now. But although he doesn't get the viewership that he deserves, the relationship that he's got with his viewership is like out of this world. You could not be in his stream for like a year and a half, and you'll put a message in there, and he remembers who you're on and things like that because he's got that tight knit sort of family vibe.
He's a very community driven person.
Yeah, I was flicking through Twitter on my lunch at work. Cam, one of our streamers, Jamie, Tommy had just replied to him saying, "Have a good stream."
Yeah.
Like how many streamers?
Yeah, it's not much, but he does
would do that. Yeah, because that brings. I mean, it could bring 100 people or like 300 people just to see Cam's link. They might not even go into the stream, but it's just people seeing him, and that to me is crazy. I barely even do that, and I average like 10 viewers. Yeah. So that's crazy. That's very good answers. My guess was going to be the Doc, purely because of how much you admire his production.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because he's very controversial. I feel like I'm not sure of his real life name, but the alias that he goes by of Dr. Disrespect is a complete different person to who he actually is. And like I said, he changed the game within streaming massively. From his production to the character that he plays to how he portrays himself at events, he doesn't leave character and things like that. He's changed the game of streaming purely down to his production and things like that. So that's good answer, but he's not someone that I would sit down and watch because he doesn't have that. For me, anyways, looking at it from the outside, he doesn't have a community feel within his streams. He's just very.
Yeah, I personally, as we discussed the other day, I find his content. I respect his content and what he's done.
It's just
but
not
his
for
content it cringes me out. His whole in to put it bluntly, as much as I respect the content he makes, and I could sit there and learn off him, it cringes the way he just create. I couldn't create a totally different version of myself on my stream. I feel like
it's a massive talent.
I need that connection with the people in my stream.
What he does is a massive talent. Like,
There's some Johnny Depp stuff.
it really is. Like, the fact that if you watched his streams and you didn't know anything about him, you might unrealistic, but you might think that's his real sort of persona. The fact that he's got a wife and kids, he's a dad. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I've never been in one of his streams.
Yeah, go in them, you leave within 5 minutes, but
not even.
Just
Like, you respect what he does in there.
His scenes, it's just bonkers.
Yeah. So,
right.
Canny's question?
I think we do Canny's question, but I also want to shout Frenchie's question as well. I think we have to make an exception for that because that is a very good question.
Okay, so we'll do Canny's, then we'll move on to Frenchie's, and then we'll probably just get your final
point.
So Canny's question was, do you value European teams, or do you only see yourselves working within the UK?
Start off with Chris again.
Yeah. Start with Chris.
I mean, I'm heavily an opportunistic person. I mean, if I can see an opportunity and I feel it's worth pursuing, it's something that I'd like to say I'll do. Just sort of as I'm trying to push my org in the sort of avenue I'm trying to take it, my preference is to sort of work with UK talent, especially people within the Northeast if possible. But I'm not against using European talent. I mean,
we have some in our League of Legends team.
Yeah. Exactly. So whatever the opportunity is, that's where I'm looking to take. So I'm not against picking up European talent over the UK now.
I like the fact that you specifically mentioned. Obviously, I'm assuming you are from the Northeast, and Viperio on your Twitter does mention that you are a Northeast-based organisation. Shameful from there, you Luke. That is cheese touch worthy if we wasn't live right now.
If you're going to quote the bio, quote it properly.
Yeah.
Okay, I was quoting a section. Because
I'm gonna put Luke in the cheese touch in a sec.
I think he deserves cheese touch. For those
if
who
they
don't
want
know what the cheese touch
to be
is.
that delusional, then they can carry on thinking that. That's
Oh, we're not starting beef.
Oh, beef.
We're not starting beef here.
Frenchie's level.
I like that you mentioned that and that you want to help your community that you've grown up in grow and bring people out of that as well. I really like that.
Yeah, it's all about the brand identity we've tried to push the Northeast. If you look at the branding, the Angel of the North, there's a lot of subtle things that a lot of people won't notice in the branding. Like the backgrounds of our streamer, like the pictures that we put up when streamers go live. It's all Northeast based. They're just things that people would scan past and not realise.
Yeah.
But the branding is solely primarily focused on the Northeast.
I said it before, obviously the podcast went live, and the fact that when I go past the Angel of the North now, I think of Chris and the org. Because I've seen it branded on Twitter. Obviously I'm from the Northeast as well. I don't know if everyone knows in chat, but like the fact that you've taken it and developed on it is great, because although it might just be me that drives past it and thinks of that, anyone else local who sees that is a constant reminder of who you guys are and things like that. And I was going through your social media before the podcast and the past couple of days when obviously I knew I was going to be doing this, just to have a look at how you guys go on and things like that. And the branding is absolutely out of this world compared to some organisations that you see. And because I'm from the North, I see these kind of little Easter eggs, if you want to call them that you're putting in. And it works really well.
That we brought that back very well from the whole beef. I like that.
Very diplomatic.
The same question for you then, Jamie. Candy's question, which was, I've forgotten if you haven't.
Do you value European players, or are you solely focused on UK talent?
I mean, I like the idea of, Chris says, of local lads and kind of content creators and things like that, and players, because we done that. Like I said, we had loads of content planned for because there is a lot of people in the scene from the Northeast, We had a hell of a lot of content planned to do here. So the UK has got some extreme talent in it, but if you stick to just Ramsey just put in the chat, Jack P is worldwide. He likes to think he is, but if you stick to just UK talent, to put it bluntly, you're a fucking idiot, because Europe has so much talent in different esports, different countries and things like that shine in different esports, and you can't deny that. We've got it in our bio as well, UK based esports organization, because that's our roots. It's where we came from, obviously. But I learned it from Boffers, at the fact that, because I was very UK driven, I wanted to be kind of UK, kind of like Royal Ravens. Obviously, I know they've done it because it's a franchise, but the way that they go around all their kind of brand and things like that, being UK based, is brilliant. But when I look into it more and more, Europe has so much talent, and I appreciate Boffers for bringing that up and actually teaching us that.
Very nice. So, Alex, do you want to move on to Frenchie's question?
Yeah, if we move on to French's question, I think I'll put it to Chris, and then we'll ask Jamie this question, kind of at a level of, would you ever merge Viperia with Socially?
I mean, I say it a lot. Again, I take a very opportunist approach. I mean, if it was the right opportunity and I thought it was the right time, it was beneficial for both. It's something I'm not against. I mean, mergers in general, it's something that I've always sort of had on my mind. Because when you look at especially the amateur scene, there's a lot of orgs at a very similar level. I mean, my view is if some of them sort of work together, they could probably get a bit further. But it just depends on the opportunity that's put forward, and I mean that would sort of influence whether I would or not. But it's not something I'd ever be
very
against.
smart answer. Very thought out answer, that one.
Follow that, Jamie.
No, I agree. I think Chris and myself could work well because he's very business driven, and I'm very blasé when it comes to the whole kind of the business side of things. I know the visions of what I want to achieve and things like that. Like I said, I've always been business driven, but I am very laid back. I've got a very laid back approach, and I don't think Chris has. He knows what he wants to achieve and things like that. Possibly that would work in both of our favors, especially the fact that Chris, his esports side of things is brilliant. What you guys are doing. And it's not that we lack in that. We don't put as much time into that as we not necessarily should, but could. But our content side makes up for that. And I think if for some reason the day did come that there was a merge, it would be brilliant. But each person's got to follow their own path and see where it takes you.
Have we just heard it here first on the WIMPY? Viperia time socially.
Just to see.
He's cast his rod out there.
Right, so before we get Alex's ending point, Jamie, have you figured out your dream sponsor?
Fuck, I forgot about that. No, actually, I've got one. The Wimpys.
Ah,
I love that answer.
That is a cop out.
That is a top notch.
I love the answer, but it is a cop out.
It is. No, but for real, the only one that I could think of is, again, going back to CS LAN, mainly Epic LAN, is the whole pizza delivery sort of thing. A lot of people do it at LAN events. You get your pizzas delivered. It's easy, quick food. So Domino's or Pizza Hut would be a big one for me. UK based again, but because everyone likes a Domino's, everyone likes a pizza. To merge with something like that, although not the biggest that you could go for, the benefits of that would be massive, absolutely massive.
Very good show.
Awesome.
I need to say that Johnny needs to get out of Alex and Taylor's bum.
I think Johnny's correct.
I've been disrespected here.
You're a FIFA player.
I still stream. I've got a heart.
I mean, off stream, we're part of the numbers, and
that's all.
We'll leave it to that. Right, before we get into our off stream, Josh, I've got one last point to ask both of you before we finish, and it's one: what is your end game? Where, although we've touched already, what's your dream for your organisations, and what is next for you personally? If we start with Jamie on this one.
Okay.
Giving them no time to think.
No, it's pretty easy for me. End goal is for me to take this, as well as all the directors and management, is something that we can do day to day. I'm very not money motivated, but being rich, not money wise though. The way I see rich is having time to do what you want to do. Me working 9 to 5 is not something that I want to do. So me being rich in a sense, like I say, is me having time to be able to do what I want to do, and socially is the plan to get me there. The way that I want to end up is take Hex, put him in the UK, and that's me. That guy can do anything he wants to do, anytime he wants to do it, because he's worked his arse off within esports, and it's worked for him.
Yeah, so you want to have wealth rather than richness.
Yeah.
It's a
Freedom.
man who loves his job, never works a day in his life. You want to be at that.
Yeah.
That point.
Exactly.
Good shout. Good
Hex
shout.
is definitely the best person to look up to in esports as well.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Of course.
definitely.
Mhm.
Definitely. Same question to you then, Chris.
I mean, I'm probably going to reiterate a lot of the things that Jamie has just said. I mean, at the end of the day, sort of, especially at the level we're running it now, it is something that it's a passion. So, I mean, if that's all it ever become, I wouldn't be disappointed at that. Obviously, the dream goal is to sort of take it full time. And I mean, as Jamie said again, sort of the people who've been here at sort of the stage it's at now, if it does grow to that level, it would be great that they want to stay on and you can bring them with you on that journey. So that would be the goal. And I mean, sort of as next steps, I mean, it's just taking every opportunity that comes as it comes, and hopefully we'll reach that one day.
Awesome. I mean, you yet again smashed that. I've just seen Taylor's been timed out,
I've just timed him out for what he's just said about Jamie.
but
What was that?
unless, well, what do you say?
Hex over JamieRyanBirch.
I mean, dropped.
I was just going to return that with anyone over Taylor. Sorry, man.
Unless you boys have any final, I think that's probably good.
I think we've
I think that's everything
went over
touched
on
on.
all bases.
Can I just add in absolute props to what you guys are doing with the Wimpies? I know obviously Alex we spoke about yesterday, but the personal development, as I've said, is a massive thing. So you guys taking the time out to actually do something different anyone else is doing, is brilliant. You're getting it down. Just like I said, work on the branding, get apparel out there, and you guys are going to take it to do something that no one else is doing. So props.
I love you,
Appreciate
Jamie,
that.
man.
Pretty gassed.
Love you.
I mean, Josh about this up. I came out of that meeting last night, and I spoke to Josh before I came to the meeting, and it was my first day back at work. I was in absolutely terrible mood.
Oh, he
And
came back and he was in the
meeting,
worst mood ever.
And I was absolutely buzzing after that.
Little do you know,
Absolutely
Jamie,
buzzing.
is 2 nights before that we were in a meeting, all 7 of us, all talking about, do we make a
got
Twitter for
heated.
this? Oh, mate, it got heated.
Oh, it got very
Inside
heated.
gossip, Smokey left the Wimpies for the night. He'd had enough.
it got a bit heated.
It got very heated.
We're all back to normal now. And on that note, I think it's a good place to finish.
It's definitely a good place to finish.
First of all, Chris, thank you very much for taking the time out of your night to come and speak
No
to
worries.
us.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, really appreciate it, and good luck
Sorry, I'm
with
just
everything
reading
with
this
Pyria. I'm
Good
sure
luck with everything moving
we'll
forward.
speak again at some point. And Jamie, I mean, don't forget your crown on the way out. You're my king. No offense, Chris, but Jamie, you're my king.
Fine.
Thank you for coming on.
Very
And thank
biased.
you for being so supportive of this. Appreciate
And
that.
just
Oh,
thank
my
you both
pleasure.
for coming on and giving both your
couldn't-
insights.
Couldn't think of a better way to spend my Friday night.
Oh, that's good.
A lie.
On that note, then, guys.
On that note.
I appreciate you all tuning in. Guest number 3 or 2 for episode 2 will be announced very soon, and the topic will be announced very soon. So if you're not already, go and drop a follow on our Twitter, which will be in the chat in just a second. And for now, if I can spell swear right, we are gonna hit someone with a rage in a minute. And I appreciate you all watching. this will also be available on YouTube and Spotify
In the next
coming
coming
days. So
days.
if you did miss it or your friends
Nice.
missed it, you can share it to them. And that's it. Goodbye, Josh.
Have a nice night.
Yeah. Shall we raid Josh? Veteran plays.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
it.
because he's
not part of
a
any
good
of
guy.
yours. He's got one viewer, and me and Josh went into a stream the other day. We dropped like what, a combined 400 bits, and the guy
Is this the guy
messaged.
that you put the TikTok up before? Was
Yeah,
it?
Oh mate,
the guy
Yeah, that's
messaged
fine.
me and thanked
Yeah,
me
give
for
him a
dropping
raid.
bits.
he's
Yeah,
honestly
so-
the most appreciative guy for having one viewer. He loves everything that he gets. Everyone
So-
can drop him a follow and show him some love. We'd all appreciate it very much. Thank you,
Love you
and
all.
have a good night.
Cheers,
Bye.
boys.
I'm starting the raid.
Awesome.
I want to get his stream
Starting
up
the
so I
raid.
can see his.
Oh mate, this is gonna be incredible.
Oh mate, I want to see his
I can't
reaction.
wait.
Will it come up on the stream?
Yeah, it should
should
do.
do, yeah.
Take us
Yeah.
to his stream.
Right, I'm gonna click raid now. Catch you all
Awesome.
later.